AITA, I have stage 4 cancer, and said, "No shit," to what I thought was in-law's weird, insensitive comment. I have stage 4 cancer with young kids and wife. Probably going to die within 1 to 2 years, so my fuse is shortened with certain people. In-law says to me, "It must be so hard for your family and what your family is going through. I want you to know this is not your fault." They have said something similar to me before and I just said, "I know," and moved on. This time I couldn't take it and said, "No shit. It's pretty obvious I didn't deserve cancer and I know it's not my fault for getting it." She became upset and told a few people I was rude to her. Should I apologize? Am I misunderstanding what point she was trying to make? The only way I can think of taking it is that there could be a thought in people's mind that it's my fault for getting cancer and making things so hard for my young family. I'm young, lived a healthy life. Not that I would deserve cancer even if I didn't, so I don't get it. Am I being overly sensitive? Was she just looking for a Goodwill Hunting moment? I honestly don't get her point. People can get very unsure of what to say to people that are in your position. She didn't say it with any malice. I know I'm just a stranger on the internet, but I beat stage 4 cancer a little over a year ago now, and the hardest part was seeing how hard it was for the people around me. It seemed harder for them than it did for me, tbh. It's a really bizarre experience. I don't know what type of cancer you have, but all hope may not be lost. I had stage 4 metastatic colon cancer that had spread to my liver. I did 6 months of chemo and 3 surgeries. They told me I most likely wouldn't make it, but I've been cancer-free for over a year. Wishing you the best, stranger. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards and all of the amazing replies. I honestly appreciate them so much. I'm reading every single one. You guys are all so nice. I'm so glad to be able to help even one person feel a little bit better. I'm guessing that she would have felt guilty for leaving her family, and just didn't quite get the difference. People are really clueless in how to cope with illness and death and provide comfort to others. Sorry you're having to deal with all this. Thank you. Yeah, maybe. I am absolutely devastated my kids may not have a father. It's so unfair to them. I just don't feel like I caused this though, and so that is why I struggle with how she said it. A lot of people feel guilt or responsibility for things that aren't actually their fault. They shouldn't, and they may even know logically they shouldn't, but they do. Maybe your mill read somewhere that you might feel this way, so was trying to reassure you. Maybe she imagines she'd feel that way or often feels guilty about letting down or burdening her family in ways beyond her control. Maybe she knows someone or heard a story of someone who felt that way and it really affected her. I don't think you're an asshole for getting angry and snapping. We all snap sometimes, and you're going through more than most. But I also wouldn't assume any malice or blame in your MIL's words. In the future, if you're looking for a better way to shut something like that down, I'd say I know you're trying to help. But, whatever, comments actually make me feel worse. I'd appreciate if you didn't keep bringing it up. But again, I'm not a perfect person all the time and I'm pretty healthy, so I'm certainly not judging you. As for your mill telling people you were rude, oh well. Just ignore it. NTA, when someone is talking to you directly about your situation, they should be extra compassionate and have sympathy for you. If they were talking to your family members, then it is okay to sympathize with their perspective. Your in-laws were basically telling you how hard it is on the people around you, but not even recognizing what this is doing to you. Telling you it's not your fault is ridiculous when you've never voiced that you felt it was. I'm very sorry and hope a virtual hug from a stranger on Reddit helps you know that you aren't wrong for anything you feel. I hope you are working through your bucket list. NTA. That's a pretty big assumption on their part, and quite insulting, if they think they need to remind you it's not your fault. Then to say you were being rude. When you were pointing out how ridiculous and patronizing that statement was with your response. You are definitely NTA. Sometimes, when people get sick like this, there's a tendency to blame themselves, even when it's illogical to do that. Kind of a reverse survivor's guilt, you know. Where sometimes people who survive a catastrophe feel guilty even though it makes no logical sense. I think what they might have been trying to express to you is that having those kinds of dark thoughts is okay. And that they're not the truth. It's probably also an expression of sorrow at the thought of losing you. You're their family too, and they're probably pretty beat up about it as well. And extremely sorry for what your wife and children are going through too. Honestly, it feels like a mark of respect that they would assume that your emotions are more centered on your family than on yourself. Although obviously it's pretty natural to swing between those and facing your mortality is certainly as good a time as any to really center yourself. I'd probably apologize if it were me, but also ask that maybe we keep conversations a bit more light in the future. But Mill also started to shit talk behind his back about it. Mill should def apologize to Op. Yeah. That is where the in-law lost me. Even if you want to assume best intentions with her irritating remarks, she should have more compassion and understanding considering OP's situation. Yes, it's possible this was her line of thought. When my dad was dying, he told me he was worried he was abandoning us. I spent a while reassuring him about that. NTA I don't know what "it's not your fault" is supposed to mean either in this situation. Does she think you accidentally manifested cancer on yourself? I bet Op is tired of hearing the same things over and over again from different people, and it's quite presumptuous on her part to assume you feel blame for the situation. NTAH, but I can see why she'd initially assume that you'd find that reassuring. I have severe, but not terminal, chronic illness, and people frequently imply that it's my fault and that I could have prevented it by having a more positive attitude, etc. Lots of healthy people like to imagine that their health is 100% a deserved reward for good behavior, so there are a lot of victim-blaming narratives out there, especially in religious, spiritual, self-help spaces. But she should have taken the hint the first few times she said it. And the fact that she thinks you need to prioritize being unrelentingly polite, taking care of her feelings even though you're the one who is dying, makes her the asshole in this situation. Emo.